Hi, this is Just Be Well. I'm Dr.Sult, a medical doctor and functional medicine practitioner.
I'm Elizabeth, a registered nurse and whole life coach.
Absolutely, and we are here today to talk about, continue our conversation about autoimmune disease, dovetailing, hello Yolanda, already?
Hey Yolanda.
Dovetailing off of our autoimmune, and Mandy, our autoimmune talk our Lyme talk last week, and started this week with autoimmunity, kind of gave the broad overview, and today we're going to talk about diet, lifestyle, and sort of tips and tricks to get through it. Hi.
Yep, tips and tricks and ways to kind of weave it into your lifestyle right now and try to set you up for that success.
Fran, hi.
Hi, Fran.
Hello. Who else is on here? Oh, Mandy's saying, hi, sis. You guys can't afford a phone call. What's going on?
I think it's lovely.
Yes, I do too. I'm just teasing. So, health coach, tell me about it. What do I need to know?
Well, first and foremost, most people don't fail to plan. No,
they don't plan to fail.
Most people don't plan to fail. They fail to
She's
plan.
really good at telling jokes. give the punchline away.
I have never been good at jokes ever.
Yeah.
I'm not good at stories, so you're probably not going to get many of those from me. But so the best way to set yourself up for success is to plan ahead. So first off and foremost, when it comes to foods and introducing a new diet into your life,
tripod, sorry.
I think it's most important to plan, because if it's 5 o'clock at night and you're starving and your family's hungry, and if that's when you start to think about what you're going to make for
You're
supper,
going to the Golden M room.
Yeah, you're probably going to, fall into those choices that are quick and, satisfying in the moment, but in the long run, not the right choice. Especially if you're struggling with a chronic illness, autoimmune disorder, where you're really trying to keep those foods that trigger that inflammation, when you're trying to keep those at a minimum. So what we recommend here is the Renew food plan. And the Renew food plan does lots of wonderful things. It, rids your body of those high inflammatory foods. It can help reduce inflammation. It reduces those food cravings because it eliminates grains and those foods that are higher in glycemic index. So it really helps to start curbing those food cravings after you get through that initial phase of withdrawals. Because a lot of those foods that we have in our the standard American diet do cause food cravings. We want more of them. And the things with these foods, the high processed foods, which are eliminated in the diet, the first bite tastes the same to your body as the last bite. So it's not like eating an apple. When you eat an apple, the beginning tastes different than the last bite, because the enzymes and how your body is working through the process, your brain creates a beginning and then satisfying in the end, where if you're eating like something sweet like an Oreo, the first Oreo in the box tastes the same as the last Oreo, which explains how you can eat a whole bag of chips or a whole box of Oreos, because I've sadly done that in my lifetime.
Yep, why not?
Oh, hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
So, it eliminates those processed food, eliminates the processed sugars.
Under the topic of, flavoring and coloring and those kinds of things, they actually put, quote, flavor enhancers, which are actually things to increase your appetite. This has been well documented in multiple publications that, big food, we got, big business, big agriculture, big food, their primary motivation is to feed their stockholders, right? And how do you do that? By selling more stuff. And how do you do that? By making it fatty and sweet and putting flavor enhancers in it that make you want to eat more.
Want more and not become satisfied. And is just robbing our bodies of all of those vital nutrients. And those phytonutrients, when we talk about autoimmunity, chronic disease, unless there's a compelling reason otherwise, start in the gut. And those whole foods, those fruits and vegetables, contain phytonutrients that heal our gut. So really, when you're looking at, leaky gut or gut permeability and chronic inflammation and autoimmune disorders, getting those 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables in a day is really crucial to healing your gut. And I know if you're thinking, especially if one is starting out, 8 to 10 servings seems so absurd. How am I going to get 8 to 10 servings in? When you really think of it though, a half a cup of vegetables, especially if you saute it, it really cooks down. You can cook down 4 cups of spinach into basically nothing. Or if you enjoy spinach or greens in a smoothie, if you're not into chewing the entire salad, smoothies are a great way to get those in as well.
Big giant handful of kale and just drop it in the blender and it's gone. Pre-chewed, halfway digested, drink it down.
Yeah, and if you want to have it with an acceptable milk like almond milk, or some people blend it with just water, some coconut yogurt, a little bit, half a cup of berries, and you have yourself a fast, easy meal. But it's not fast and easy, hi Jane, if you don't have it in your fridge. Right. So basically that's why it's so important to plan and really plan out your week. Before you go grocery shopping, make a list of what you want to, have for yourself for emergency snacks, because emergency snacks are just as important in those meals, because, while it's great to have one good meal, you should really be thinking about your entire day and what you're consuming. So you want to have those emergency snacks that you can grab quickly on the go with, dried fruit works well just because it lasts longer. We don't want to also go in the fridge and grab those.
The biology experiment.
Yeah. So, they're making freeze-dried fruits nowadays that almost, they almost melt in your mouth. So if you're not a fan of dried fruit, now they have freeze-dried fruit. And then nuts. And
again,
things.
The topic that she's talking about is emergency, right?
Yeah.
Don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough. So, we're big fans of frozen vegetables and frozen chicken breasts and freeze-dried fruit and frozen fruit to always have on hand, because we're going to tell you about how to make sorbet out of frozen fruit in a little bit, and it's really good.
It is really good. Yeah, it's a great, refreshing evening treat, especially when it's warmer out and it's summer and we're all thinking about, well, at least I'm thinking about ice cream, and it's hard to stay away from that. But when we're on this Renew diet, which is, it's a short-term diet, we're not talking about for the rest of your life. Optimally, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, along those lines is a nice reset for your body. Or
for some people until you want to feel crummy again.
Yeah, well, and
it just depends. Some people it's long term, but most people not.
Yeah, about the Renew diet is it helps you identify those food triggers, food allergens, or sensitivities, the ones that make you feel uncomfortable. Because it's amazing once you remove them, for a 6 to 8 week period, and then we have you slowly reintroduce in, so just one food category at a time. And then just monitor for symptoms every couple days. And if you have something come out, then you want to keep that out of your diet for the next few months. So it's also a great way to identify those sensitivities. So yes, it comes down to planning. Planning out your meal prep for the week. And when you go shopping, make sure you have your list of everything. It seems simple, but this is really important stuff.
And hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's simple, but it's hard. And so one of the things that one of the tricks is settle on 10 recipes. Settle on 10 recipes, because there's 7 days in a week, so 10 of them, they'll rotate out of order, so it'll never be, it's chicken night. As few as 10 recipes for dinner can really give you the sense of variety. And then once you have those 10 recipes down, if you want to experiment, you can. But just focusing on 10 makes it not like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you get into the rhythm too of making things.
Yeah.
But yeah, focusing on those 10 gives you a variety of taste, but then also a variety for your body as well, because it's best to have, you know, the most diverse diet
Right.
as possible, because then that's, you know, your gut. You know, it creates a diverse ecology within your gut, depending on, because you kind of, as you consume an apple, you take the microbiome from the apple and add it to your microbiome.
Yep. And all
And it gets you a lot of beautiful colors. Well, this is where the apple is on the Dirty Dozen list. So, you know, this is kind of where we stress, especially during, you know, the initial stages when you're really starting to try to help amp up your detoxification process and rid your body of those extra things. You really want to, and I just totally lost my train of thought.
Well, you're talking about the Dirty Dozen.
Yes, you want to rid yourself of all that extra stuff.
Yeah, but I think what you were getting at is that the apples are on the Dirty Dozen, so you really need to think about using your budget for organic food on the Dirty Dozen.
Which you can find on ewg.org.
Right.
Dirty Dozen, and then the Clean 15. Feel free to purchase those.
If you're independently wealthy, get it all organic.
Right.
But if you aren't,
then you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, but if you aren't, then you save your money for the Dirty Dozen, and you can buy conventional for the Clean 15.
Right. And then when you're looking at the diet itself, sometimes it can be overwhelming because you're like, okay, I'm limited on all, you know, I can't cook it with grains, with any dairy, nothing processed. What do I make? And this is where I tell my clients, like, okay, if you're not into buying, you know, a whole new cupboard worth of things, if this isn't going to be a forever thing for you, and it might be, I mean, maybe you want to incorporate some of those, you know, different types of flours into your diet, like almond flour, coconut flour in the future, but really just stick with the keeping it simple. Hi, Mary. So choosing a protein on the list, and I actually printed off the Renew food plan so I could show it to you a little bit. But so there is, I mean, if you look at this, I mean, this is a list. This is a list. Okay, this is a list right here. 2 columns of all different types of protein that you can have. So some of them are meat proteins, and some of them are plant proteins. So, you know, if you're a vegetarian, this food plan also works wonderfully. And then if you look over here, there's dairy alternatives. You've got a long list of nuts and seeds. Most nuts and seeds you can have. And then these are different fats and oils. So lots of really good oils: avocado oil, coconut oil, ghee, olive oil. Are you making faces in the background?
No, I'm just hiding behind it.
And then on this other side, you'll see, I'm just showing you all the things that you can have, because I think it's so important to concentrate on what you can have. And here's all the vegetables, fruits, herbs and spices, beverages and condiments. So as you can see, what I instruct people to do is just, you know, choose a protein for your meal, and then some good fats, and then a couple vegetables. And there's your meal. There's your meal. So really just go down the list, pair things you'd like to have together, and then, you know, purchase those. So it really doesn't have to be super complicated. And you can have flavorful, delicious meals with these fats and oils and herbs.
2 things also, and Yolanda is pointing it out, crock pot.
Yeah.
Crock pots are beautiful for this.
Pressure cooker.
Yep, and pressure cooker, another thing. So, you know, they're the old style pressure cookers like I grew up with, where they have the little rocky thing on the top. And that's not what they're like anymore at all. They're practically silent, and they're really quick. You can, you know, brown meat in the pot itself, and then put the other stuff in it. A little bit of fluid, because you need water in a pressure cooker to bring the pressure up. Close it, put it on, and, you know, something that would normally take a few hours to cook is done in 20 minutes. So pressure cookers are really nice. Crock pots are really nice because you set them and forget them.
I love crock pots.
Yep. So maybe expand that with your ability to do that, since I can't. Okay, that's really awesome.
I love Eat Smart salads as well, with chicken and other protein. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, the word diet gives me high anxiety because I have never dieted in my life.
So that's why we like to call it, these
Food
are
plan.
called diets, but we like to say food plan, or we like to say lifestyle. It's not really about a diet. A diet has a bad name because everybody, oh my God, a diet, I have to lose weight or I have to not eat my favorite foods.
Yeah, I think we think of scarcity when we think of diet. Like I can't have that, where
2 columns of protein sources.
Yeah.
That's not scarcity. There's
No.
lots to eat on this diet. It's
There
just
is.
eliminating the processed, unhealthy foods, which frankly aren't foods. There's food and there's junk, but there's no junk food, right? There's food and there's junk.
Yeah.
And when you start to think of it that way, suddenly it makes sense to eliminate stuff that you thought was junk food, but actually was just junk. So let's talk about, so what would a typical emergency meal look like here with frozen vegetables and frozen whatever?
Yeah, it depends. We would either grab, grass-fed ground beef, a pound of ground beef, and, cook that up, and then add in a bag or 2 of frozen vegetables, some rice. Rice cauliflower works wonderfully.
I made Mexican rice with rice cauliflower
Yeah.
the other day. It was awesome.
It was really.
Even if I do say so myself.
So chicken is also, of course, great. Chicken breast. Take a frozen chicken breast, saute that, saute some couple bags of frozen vegetables with some of those good fats, a couple herbs, spices, and voila.
So
20 minutes.
olive oil in the bottom of the pan, a big bag of riced cauliflower, a can of Rotel, or the organic version from
Yep, that should be fine as long as it doesn't have, I know citric acid is something that is a preservative that you're not supposed to have on this diet. So you just want to look at your labels.
Yep.
But there's definitely canned things that you can consume.
and then a tablespoon of pepper. What's wrong with me? Chili pepper powder, and a teaspoon of cumin, and a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and that was it. So super quick, super easy, and really good.
Butter, did you say the butter?
No, because I was doing
Ghee.
the cauliflower in the pan, but
Oh, okay.
not we do it a different way and baking it too. But that works really quick and easy, and it just gives a little flavor, instead of everybody complains about whole food diets are bland, but they aren't. They don't have to be. Spices are allowed. Yeah, hi Misty and Yolanda. Love the rice cauliflower. Yeah.
Yeah, you really can make a ton of meals with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's more flavorful than rice. It has a better texture, and you can buy, rice broccoli, rice sweet potatoes. There's lots of different things that you can buy rice nowadays. So.
And it's a way to sneak a few vegetables in for the kids if they don't like vegetables. So we will often mix it in with the meat and seasoning so that the oil from the meat, like the
Camouflages it.
camouflages it. I hardly notice, especially if it's, in spaghetti sauce or something, right? And if you're using a lentil noodle or some other non-grain noodle.
We sneak it in everything, I swear.
Yeah,
We
we're
have
kind of
rice
sneaky.
cauliflower like
I
almost
can.
every meal. I can.
Yeah, we are sneaky. So anyway, a couple of that's just one recipe. Riced cauliflower is one of our go-tos. Frozen vegetables of all kinds. I like the stir fry mixes, sort of the Asian stir fry mixes, and we also use the they call it California mix. There's all kinds of them out there. It doesn't matter, but any of those. We make a lot of a lot of stir fried vegetables and. A frozen chicken breast, another really versatile thing. You can just make a chicken breast, or you can dice it up and put it in something, or you know, you can do a million things with it. So very simple, very easy. And then on days when you have a little more time, you can get creative. But if you're not prepared for the day when you don't have time, you know, you're going to fail. So you know, get a decent book about crock pot recipes so that you can just throw it in it in the morning or at noon and turn it on and walk away, or get a book about pressure cookers, and we've been doing some of that lately, and that's really nice and quick, and things come out nice and tender.
Steam oven is wonderful.
We have a portable steam oven that really cooks about 40 to 50% faster than a conventional oven.
Yeah, it does a wonderful job of steaming like vegetables like Brussels sprouts and cauliflower.
I think we've got a boat flotilla going by behind us right now.
Oh yeah.
Promised you, is it time, do you think, to do the sorbet recipe, or what?
Yeah, you can tell them the sorbet recipe.
So, sweet tooth, if you have a sweet tooth, frozen fruit, and anything is fair game as long as, you know, it's on the diet that you're on. So if it happens to be the renewed diet, the food plan, thank you, the food plan you're on. If it happens to be the renewed diet, it's going to probably need to be a berry or a melon.
Yeah.
So you can either buy fresh and cut it up and freeze it, or just buy frozen. And, you know, if it's not a clean 15 fruit, then you probably want to buy organic frozen. Anyway, a couple of cups of that, throw it in a blender, squeeze a half a lemon or so in there. And depending on the fruit, you may want to add something just a little bit sweet, so some agave syrup or something. Not much, just a teaspoon or so. And then just enough water so that it will blend. So you start the blender, and of course the blender's spinning and nothing's moving because it cavitated, like these boats back here do. And then you just pour in a little water and shut off the blender and shake it around and do whatever, and just get it just wet enough so that it'll blend. And it turns into a beautiful sorbet that just hits the spot. Tastes great.
Yeah, melts in your mouth.
Yep, it really does. So super simple. Experiment with different, you know, different fruit combinations. A little bit more or less lemon, a little bit more or less, you know, honey or agave or whatever it is that's allowed on your food plan. And it's just quick and easy and delicious. Just like these quick vegetables, you know. I mean, stir frying with a variety. You could stir fry vegetables with either you know, organic grass-fed ground beef or a similar kind of other protein, whether it's a plant protein or a fowl or whatever, and add different spices every day and have essentially a different meal. And so it's really not complicated to do these diets. And people say, but wait, what about breakfast?
Smoothies.
Smoothies are a great way to go. And guess what? There's no law against having vegetables for breakfast. I often have stir-fried vegetables for breakfast.
Yeah. Stir-fried. And if you think about it, okay, I can easily eat a whole bag of stir-fried vegetables by myself for a meal. And one bag is like 5 servings. So right there is 5 servings of vegetables. So when you think about it, the 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables isn't that difficult to do.
Right. And all of those vegetables, why are we doing this? Well, there's the phytonutrients and all that stuff. But I think an even more important reason is the fiber. The fiber is food for our microbiome. And, you know, I've said this many times, but I used to think that we were a human being walking around and we kind of had some bugs in our gut. And then I started to realize, wow, these bugs are kind of important. Then I started to think, well, it seems like maybe we're actually a bunch of bugs being carried around by a human. And it turns out that people now are seriously taking the idea seriously that humans are superorganisms like many other organisms in nature, and we are interdependent with our microbiome. The microbiome is involved in almost every process in our body, ranging from making a 30 micron biofilm on our inside of our intestine and our sinuses and everywhere that protects us from the outside world, to starting the process of detoxification, to communicating with our hormone system and our immune system and our nervous system. It can actually influence what we crave. If you've got a lot of yeast or other sugar-loving bugs, you're going to want sugar. And why is that? It's because those bugs are releasing chemicals that say, I want sugar. And they communicate with your brain. It's a little diabolical, actually. So by eating, I like to say, if you build it, they will come, right? So if you build the right environment, the good bugs will come, because we're eating bugs all the time. So I like colostrum kinds of products, or serum-derived bovine immune globulin products if you can't take dairy, to keep the bad bugs kind of out of your system, and then lots of diverse fiber. So if we're talking about 10 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, try to get 10 different ones every day. Now all of a sudden we're talking about 70 different fruits and vegetables every week. That's diversity, right? You may not hit that goal, but try to get there. And you know, people say, well, wait a minute, there aren't even 70. Well, actually there are, but you have to go to the weird store and you have to find the stuff that looks really strange and you've never seen before, like dragon fruit or star fruit, or you know, some weird vegetable that you've never seen before.
Right, and when it comes to your gut, you know, it really all comes down to balance. I mean, everything has a process and a meaning. But, you know, it's when those good bacteria in your gut are low that it gives a chance for the bad ones to thrive, and the balance is off. So really you want to switch that balance back and bring balance to your body.
Yeah, frozen adult drinks sound good too. So I was talking to somebody about some investment thing, and he said, oh, special chemicals are really taking off. And I said, oh, I'd like some special chemicals right now. And Yolanda is saying egg muffins or casseroles loaded with veggies can be made ahead of time and frozen. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, that's not the right term. Here in Minnesota, it's called a hot dish. It's not a casserole.
Oh, there's certain casseroles.
No, there's no such thing as a casserole in Minnesota. It's a hot dish.
I'm Minnesota born. There's casseroles and there's hot dishes, but they are different.
She's from the wrong side of town. She doesn't know.
I'm from the diverse side.
The diverse side. When I was in California, and Robin, my wife at the time, said, well, I'm going to bring a hot dish. I said, well, okay, what are you going to put in it? A hot dish. Well, that doesn't sound very good at all.
Usually some noodles and some hamburger and some sauce.
And Mandy loves dragon fruit. Casseroles are southern. Yep, they are. But people do. You know, people who don't know better call them casseroles around here. Yeah, I'm getting the look now. Okay, what about other lifestyle?
Everybody knows of green bean casserole. Come on.
That's true. It's my favorite. I love that.
That is universal. I mean, tuna casserole.
The little onions on the top, you know, would have all that stuff on them you can't eat. But what you can do is you can caramelize your own onions and make the same thing. Sort of the same thing.
So not really before we, I don't know, we always try to keep track of the time so we don't keep you guys here all night.
It's been about 30 minutes.
Yeah. What I've mentioned before is one of the most important practices of eating is really bringing it into like a meditative state. So before, what's wrong?
Just you get a little quiet for your microphone.
When I'm talking about meditation, I'm trying to bring down the mood here. You're ruining it all.
Sorry.
No, it is really important that when we're eating, we're not eating in.
It's okay to be laughing and having a good time, though. That's the same thing. That's parasympathetic also.
And having a discussion with your family. You know, it's not about being quiet. It's just about being present. Yeah. Being present and really answering.
Not upset, not angry, not stressed, not.
This isn't the time to bring up, you know, the grade on the midterm or things like that. Like, you know, it's the time to gather as a family and enjoy one another's company.
Yes, Yolanda.
She's grounding us. Thank you, Yolanda. And, you know, it really, if you eat in that hyper state, you can't properly absorb and digest your food. So you're going to do all this work, you know, planning and preparing and making these beautiful meals, but if you don't bring in the rest and relaxation and that meditative, you know, home piece of a meal, you're not going to get the full benefit out of it. And really, planning is so huge because it brings down the stress of the meal itself, because you don't want, this isn't to bring more stress into your life. Of course, right away, navigating through a new food plan and getting used to it is going to bring a little bit of extra friction to your life, but we really don't want this to be a stressful experience. We want it to be a beautiful experience.
And I would just like to say that this is where coaching can really lubricate those first several days of, you know, I call it the tacky shitties. The tacky shitties are not a gastrointestinal problem. The tacky shitties are when you find yourself going, oh shit, 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 oh shit. That's the tacky shitties. Tacky shitties are like tachycardia, you know, fast, lots of shitties. So if you find yourself going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, it really means a coach would be very helpful, because in just a little bit of time, you get it straightened out. It's no big deal. It's a new habit. It's easy. But the first few weeks, the first few weeks are when you quit because it's too hard. I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I hate it. I forget it. This guy's a moron. I'm never going back there again.
It's not practical.
It's not practical. It's actually very practical. It's very easy.
It really,
and as somebody told me today,
easy,
they were asked by a doctor, why would you want to do all this weird stuff when you could just take Plaquenil? Well, that's a choice that people make, right? You can go take Plaquenil, or you can go on an anti-inflammatory diet, which is what we're talking about. That's what the Renew diet is. It's an anti-inflammatory diet. So let us know if you have more questions. We're going to wrap up a little bit here pretty quick. I want to tell you what we're going to do on Friday. Now, are you going out? You're going out with the girls on Friday?
No, that's Saturday.
Oh, that's Saturday. Okay, good. So I'm not alone, thank God. We're going to talk about lifestyle. So, you know, we kind of gave the big overview on Monday. We really dove into diet a little bit today and some stuff you can do. And by the way, if you join the family room, if you aren't already a member, you can download the Renew Diet, absolutely free.
The food plan,
easy.
and then the comprehensive diet, so it tells you
the
all
whole deal.
about the diet and the benefits. And
recipes, how to do it, what it's for, the philosophy behind it. This little cheat sheet that she showed you, and you might have been looking at this and going, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? It's just a cheat sheet. There's a whole book that a pretty thick pamphlet that comes with it that has recipes and all that kind of stuff. And so that's good. And LOL the story. Yeah. I wonder where I heard that story. And Yusuf.
Hi, Yusuf.
Yusuf, I haven't done a damn thing on our project, and I'm not going to. I'm relying on your expertise and help. Dr. Aliman is on the faculty with the Institute of Functional Medicine with me, and we're doing a big project on COVID, and I'm the weak link. I haven't got my work done yet.
I thought you're always giving me a hard time about procrastinating.
I am, because I'm so good at it. I recognize it. Actually, I never procrastinate, but I can't.
It's not true. I see you procrastinate a lot lately.
Maybe lately because I'm not working so much. I feel like I have a lot of time. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk about lifestyle on Friday. And so, you know, those modifiable lifestyle factors, we kind of hit nutrition pretty hard today, so we're not going to do that, diet, but we'll talk about other parts of it.
And things you can do in your day-to-day, how you can weave it in and incorporate it into your day-to-day life.
Yep.
Tips and tricks.
Tips and tricks.
Oh boy, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I am in trouble. I was born in trouble. Yeah. All right. So, any other questions? Anything we can do? Any? We're open to anything about functional. Well, anything at all, really. I'll give you my opinion about anything. Just ask. All right. Okay. Well, thanks so much for being here, everybody. It's really an honor that you take some time out of your day and come and spend some time with us. It's fun to see your faces. And we will see you on Friday. All right. Good night.
Bye.